Hey, what's up guys, it's Oakley, and this is gonna be another, obviously, Warhammer battle, 2 versus 2 this time, with 2 greenskin armies lined up here. We're gonna have a bunch of these Doom Diver catapults starting to line up, get some shots off. We're gonna be going off kind of a 2 versus 2 against a combined good force, so to speak, that's comprised of dwarfs and empire buttoned up on that hill. Let's put this on slow motion so we can give you an overview. My ally is gonna be charging straight up into it. He has Azhag the Slaughter up on a wyvern. But the deployment. So my ally is doing something interesting. He has a super rush build. It's got 2 orc bigguns on either flank here. And then all through the center he has, it looks like 5 of these savage orcs. And then he does have, a couple savage orc boar boys, but it's very, very rushy. And then in the back he's got 4 of these Doom Diver catapults. So I have a bit more of a balanced build. I have 2 of the Doom Divers. I have 4 of these archers, 1 on the left, 3 on the right, spearmen blocking the front. In my core, I have 3 black orcs. I have 4 of these, 2 orc boys and 2 orc bigguns. On the right flank, I have hidden some more orc boar boy bigguns. The opponents, on the other hand, are deployed up on this hill. Front line of longbeards. Then you have quarrelers. Then you have swordsmen and spearmen with miners with blasting charges behind, and then you have great swords, and then you have cannons, and you have hammers back here, and then you have hidden demigryph knights with halberds. So this is a meat grinder essentially, and my ally is going to be charging straight into the meat grinder. I was trying to tell him, hey, we have the artillery advantage. Yes, they have cannons, but our Doom Divers are hidden in such a way that we can just avoid return fire and just beat the snot out of these guys. And look at this, they have overlapping fields of fire. This is not something you want to run into. So I was telling my ally, hey, let's hold tight. I think we got this, but this does look glorious, the combined arms here. Let's get a couple more shots of the cannons as they fire off. And I do wish these troops had reload animations. I mean, it's really not at all what it used to be. They really dumbed it down. I was hoping to see that. So here comes the swarm of our troops, or should I say my allies' troops, the savage boys, basically moving up slowly but surely. And our Doom Divers are going to be focusing fire on the enemy here. Doom Divers are really, really good, super cheap, and even against high armor units like these dwarves, with every volley they'll be taking on a fair amount of men. So what you want to do to counter this is obviously spread out your forces in loose formation. The way the artillery works is it kind of targets a central position in your formation. So if you're thin lines, you're more liable to just hit a couple troops as opposed to massive troop numbers. But still, look how much damage we're doing to these guys. This is why I wanted us to hold firm. Counter volleys are taking out our Doom Divers, but my ally is being really kind of dumb with them. You can see I'm positioned behind the hill getting some shots off, whereas my ally has been, all the while shuffling his Doom Divers around, not getting any shots off. So that is not going to be good for us. Meanwhile, you have our Azhag, the allied Azhag, moving forward into such a position where he can fight the enemy lord. But he's going to be doing so within range of enemy guns, enemy... oh, actually it looks like the quarrelers are moved up. I thought we had some gunners, but no. Looks like actually this is a fairly okay build, although we did get targeted by some spells, so he's pulling out of there. Pretty needless. Nothing really was gained from that. And now here comes the main rush down the center. Enemy quarrelers did not get the shots off that they needed, and so now they're pulling back in the face of our rush. But the enemy is formed in many lines deep. Quarrelers are turning about, and also the miners. And my ally just stops in his tracks right in front of the dwarven line. I don't know what he's thinking. These are the perfect targets for explosive rounds. Savage orcs do not have any armor. This is going to melt them away. So the perfect counter to this. Quarrelers are going to be firing. Oh my god, this is brutal. The second line of Imperial forces are going to be countercharging into this. All down the line, they're getting just obliterated. So here goes, the entirety of my allies' forces gone, obliterated, vanished, destroyed. Look at this, they're all gone. And so I'm sitting back here with my army like, what just happened? All my ally has left is, you know, a 1 health Azhag, 4 of these Doom Divers. Meanwhile, I have my force. I've completely moved up. My Doom Diver catapults have almost expended half their ammunition. I'm going to be charging up the right side. So what do I have? I have Spearman. The Goblin's going to be tanking it out with these Demigryph Knights. I have Orc Boar Boy Biggun's going to be getting in to tank it out with the Demigryph Knights with halberds. And the only advantage here is the enemy is all absorbed and focused on this position. And what I have is Azhag moving forward support. A lot of my troops going to be moving up, but I have the ability here to take out some of these key units. So for example, the Demigryph Knights with halberds are very, very important for me to take out. Azhag is in close range. He's uncontested in his magical abilities. Nothing is stopping him, and so here I'm going to pop a Spirit Leech, or the Fate of Juna. Look at the damage going down on these guys. Their health is all the way down, 13, 12. So this is a very expensive spell to cast, but look at the benefits that I'm getting. So I wrecked a halberd unit just by fixing them with my Orc Boar Bigguns. Nonetheless, my unit was pretty heavily depleted. On this front, my Goblin Spearmen were destroyed, but Orc Boar Boys were able to get into the back and destroy the Demigryph Knights. Archers are firing into it, so I've been able to pretty much destroy the cream of the crop of my enemy's troops. Meanwhile, I'm pulling back on this front. And this is one of the advantages of bringing a bunch of these archers, is now we can blot out the sun and fire at the mass of the opponents. Opponents don't actually have that much range, thankfully. They have some corollary forces, but they've been kind of caught in the wrong position. He has some forces charging in after me. The Lord is in here, but this is why I have Azhag. So Azhag's going to be coming into this mess, casting more direct damage spells against the enemy Lord, keeping him out of range. And then what's happening here is the enemy is chasing after my ally, but now that we have all our artillery set up, they're going to be just destroying the enemy infantry in the open ground, which is what I was telling my ally we should have done early on. Now I have brought back some of my Black Orcs and Orc Boys, and so they're going to be going after the enemy troops in the center. I'm trying to rally my allies' forces, reform the line, and so this is going to be enough to force the enemy back. Once they're all in these types of positions, we're going to unload on them. And the enemy is starting to break formation. If I were them, I would draw back up on top, reform the Quarrelers. But what's going to happen here is that these Spearmen are going to get caught out. They're desperately trying to charge after me. I'm going to hit them in the flank with Goblins, force them to turn around, and charge in with my boys. So what you want to do in these types of situations is pull back, draw the enemy into unfavorable positions like you saw me do with the Demigryph Knights, and start isolating units. This is where you have to be very, very cost effective. Look how much damage I've done to this hero unit. He's been forced to pull back. Everything here is going to start to reform and push against me. Look what he has. Miners with blasting charges. This could chew me away. We saw that happen before. And so what I'm going to do is slowly pull back more and more forces. I know the counter to these miners is going to be armored units, like the big guns, like the Black Orcs, and especially cavalry. So all you should do in this scenario is just pull your forces back. We have the artillery advantage, and so I'm going to let that just start to wreck the enemy. Archers in the back are holding us strong, and I've redeployed some infantry to reform this line. One Black Orc formation is going to be enough to deal with all these cheap, depleted spearmen we've been bombarding. So it looks like we're doing pretty good for recovery, but it is now a 2 versus 1 scenario. In a second, these Savage Orcs get their senses back. They're going to be able to charge back into this blob. And look at this, they're already shattered. That's the power of this infantry. Look, my ally has got back, so all of a sudden, take a look at this. Oh, that's because we killed the enemy lord. I think I finally got off my last spell against the enemy. Oh, no, my wizard is broken, so that's not going to be good. He's not dead, so we'll have to see if he comes back, but I did kill the enemy lord here. That killing Karl Franz was very important. Oh, so sad here. Such a sad little hippogriff. But yeah, that is what triggered the loss on this front. So now we're able to clean this up, and all of a sudden the opponents are in a bit of a pickle. Now we're going to start to have clean advantage on their cannons. We can move in through the back. The enemy has been trying to reform, trying to form up against us, but they just are, you know, attacking haphazardly. If I were them, what they should do is hold back and just fire away with their quarrelers. But even these guys have been somewhat depleted. Now here comes these miners with blasting charges. They've been giving attack orders on the wrong troops. That's something you can abuse, is when your opponent gives an attack order on one unit, pull it back and charge in with other units. Sometimes if your opponent is not microing, what that means is they will not have the charge off on the right unit, and you can just catch them by surprise, unbrace, and just start killing them. Black Orcs against miners is no contest. Me charging with the rest of them straight into these long beards. And then I do have a lot of supporting fire. When you have supporting fire like this, make sure you target healthy units like this Greatsword Force, which is down to 40 shaken. The enemy is not doing well. They do have some hammerers in the mix here. That is a key unit, but Azhag did come back. That was very important, keeping me from breaking. I'm going to be targeting the Quarrelers now, and now our cavalry, the Orc Boar Boys, are going to be in the back. Get a couple nice shots of this. So somehow we're able to turn the tide of my opponent's just hapless charge. And I think most of it was due to just me being patient, and just the amount of damage that you can do with these Doom Divers is incredible. The rather poor army composition of our opponents. I mean, yes, they set up a meat grinder, but they really should have had more guns and more quarrelers, and they should have moved up in formation. I think they got overly eager after their initial wins, got a bit too cocky, and I took full advantage of that. So this is a lesson learned, definitely, in this battle. And these miners with blast charges are good, but at the end of the day, once they use up their shots, they're going to be pretty crap troops. I mean, yes, they have armor piercing, but they can get bowled over pretty quickly, especially with the cost efficiency of our Boar Boys and the Doom Divers. Focus fire on these guys and you're good to go. I do have to say I'm kind of disappointed with Warhammer in terms of the speed of these battles. This is a 2v2 and it was over in like, what was this, like not even 15 minutes. So I'm pretty upset with the pacing of these latest Total War titles. They seem to be super arcadey. I know Pixelated Apollo made a video on this talking about the pace of the battles, and I really do hope that they get back to the longer types of battles, more sustained, not the immediate burn of the armies. Obviously Radius mods and other mods are going to be addressing that, but I really hope the official one has a more drawn out version. So yeah, that's hopefully something that I think they should address. People are complaining a lot about it, so we just have to keep voicing our concerns. But anyways, that's going to be it for this battle. Let's go ahead and end the replay and look at some of the final stats here in terms of the kills. First, I want to look at my allies. So yeah, look at these Savage Orcs with 0 kills to their name. Orc Biggins with almost 0 kills. And look at this, the Doom Divers. Ridiculous kills on them. So that is why these guys are so powerful. If you look on my side, 97 and 165, I actually got a fair amount of kills with the Arrow Boys, a lot with the Black Orcs, and a fair amount here and there. So overall, pretty balanced build on my end. The opponents here, the Great Swords, just got taken to town. Taken to town, I'm not sure. Basically, focus fire with the Doom Divers against the elite enemy units, and all that you have left is basically going to be these Swordsmen and Spearmen, which really can't hold up to the Greenskins. You need these heavy hitters, you need the Great Swords, you need the Demigryph with Knights with Halberds. I think the fact that I was able to isolate these, Spirit Leech one of them, and tie down the other one against Spears, against Orc Biggins, and shoot it with archers just meant that they were not as effective as they could have been. And overall, I mean, this dwarf build is actually pretty good. Longbeards are usually pretty solid. Cannons and Quarrelers are usually pretty good. But, man, I don't know why it didn't perform better than expected. I think they just got drawn out and shot to pieces. Cannons doing okay. I probably would have sacrificed, just 2 cannons and maybe gone for a couple more gyrocopters or high-tier infantry, something to kind of hold your force together. The miners here getting a fair amount of kills, and they really, they softened up and destroyed these Savage Orcs, which is pretty good. But then after that, they were kind of just dead weight for this dwarf army. So that's about it. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one. Peace out.